we don't get rewarded often for our effort. We get rewarded for our results.
Thank you for listening to Serves You Right. My name is Andrew, and today we're talking to Ryan Gromfin. Ryan is the man behind The Restaurant Boss, a consultant who helps restaurants with some of their stickiest problems, broken systems, burnt out managers, all sorts of things. He's a man who can't stand the word try, so don't even try and use it around him. Ryan, in this episode, breaks down why restaurants fail sometimes, even when owners are working nonstop, why exactly people confuse leadership with control, coaching with yelling. Really fascinating conversation. I had a ton of fun talking to him today. Without any further ado, here is Serves You Right, and thanks for listening. And before I forget, we are going to 2 episodes a week every Tuesday and Thursday, so look out for it. Cheers. Your name's The Restaurant Boss. I had to have you on. So,
I appreciate it.
For the listener at home, could you tell us a little bit about how you got into this line of work and kind of the story of what made you you? That's a broad one, so take it where it is, and I'll ask some more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up a product of the Food Network, is what I like to say. There's a whole long story that was very timely with some activities that happened. But basically, I grew up a product of the Food Network, and I got interested in food. My mom would cook, and then the Food Network kind of helped me refine that at home. And so this idea of becoming a chef was never something that I really thought about until then. And so I started exploring it. I did a couple of internships. I fell in love with it. I ended up at culinary school. And then I kind of went the 5-star hotel route. So Mansion on Turtle Creek in Dallas, Four Seasons Austin, Peninsula Hotel Beverly Hills. And for the early stage of my career, I really thought that's what I was going to do. I really thought I was going to end up an executive chef in a 5-star hotel. But then as I started getting a little older, it was the weekends, it was the holidays, it was some of the things that I think other chefs and other hospitality professionals struggle with.
100 hours a week was too much. Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about this another time, but like the 100 hours is never true. When people start saying like 70, 80, even that I question. Like when we actually sit down at a schedule, we usually find it's more like 60, 65.
Which is still a lot.
They are long hours.
Yeah.
Let's be real there. But sorry, there's a few things. If you've read my book, there's a few words and a few phrases that are hot topics. One of those is I'm working 80 hours a week. That's always a hot topic for me because I just find that that's not usually true. But it is long hours, it is weekends, it is holidays. And so then I started exploring this idea of, well, I'm a smart kid and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to go open up my own restaurants. And so I created a partnership with somebody. We went and we opened up some restaurants. There was a lot of struggles there. The partnership broke up. But through that process, I got approached when I split from those restaurants and I split from that partner by a gentleman who was managing 2 hotels for a family that owned 3 or 4 hotels. And he said, hey, I want to talk to you. And I said, listen, to be completely honest with you, I'm looking for a job right now, but I'm not really interested in working at your hotel. It's kind of not a great hotel. He's like, I don't want to hire you. I want you to help me fix it. And I was like, cool, let's go do that. So that was on like a Wednesday, and he's like, well, let's meet on Friday. The owners are in town. And so I spent like 48 hours doing research on everything I could possibly find about consulting. And I prepared myself. I sat down, and they're like, this all sounds great. Get us a proposal. So I spent the whole weekend researching how much I should charge and what I should do, and I put together a proposal for them. Bear in mind, this was before ChatGPT could do all this for you. But I put together a proposal, and they hired me, and it turned out to be about a 1.5-year project, and it was fantastic, and I loved everything about it. I loved the coaching aspect and the mentoring aspect and the fact that I could take my broad experience and apply it. And what I really started to see was the systems and the processes and procedures that I grew up with in the 5-star, well-run hotels that had unlimited resources is not how the rest of the world operated. And so it was really eye-opening to me of how much value my skills could add to the average, ordinary, everyday operator. And so I built a consulting business from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So just a chance encounter, 48 hours, and sweaty palms, and then seeing what happens. Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Awesome. And so that first consulting gig, how long ago was that?
That was in about 2010, 2011.
Okay. Yeah. So you've been at this for a while now.
Yeah, so I like to say, like, this is my career. For a lot of people, everyone who owns a restaurant has probably met a restaurant consultant, some chef who's between jobs who said they could come and fix their food costs and redo their menu and do all this stuff for them, and all the more power if they're capable and able to do that. But up until a couple of years ago, there's really only two or three of us that, like, this is our career. I think more people with the internet now and everything else are trying to make it a career. I don't know, but, like, this is what I do. I'm not applying for jobs. I'm not in the middle of something. I'm not looking for an investment opportunity to go run restaurants. This is what I do. This is what I will retire doing.
Mm.
This is my career.
You're the restaurant boss.
There you go.
So how did the book happen? Was that an afterthought, an addition, or
No, I have a very well laid out 20-year plan for my career.
awesome?
And the book probably came about 2 to 3 years later than I had planned, and there's a whole story there about what I really learned about tackling big projects. Because when I'm a coach and I recommend hiring coaches. When I finally hired a coach to help me with my book, he helped me put together a process that made writing the book super simple. I wrote the book in 6 weeks, as opposed to what I was trying to do by myself for 2 or 3 years without having the right process. But no, the book was part of the process. There's another book that's part of the process. There's another book. There's more software. Like, I mapped out my entire 20-year consulting career, and I'm probably 12 or 13 years into that 20-year plan.
Okay, gotcha.
Nothing happens by accident in my life.
No.
I'm very planned out.
And that is interesting. The coaching aspect of getting the book written. What do you think it is about coaches that make things happen? Like,
Yeah, go, no, go. I know what you're
no. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna stop there. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say, because the book's called Make It Happen.
Oh, I didn't even think that.
I thought you were about to go there. So coaches shortcut things. What I say is, a coach has a map, and they teach you how to follow it, and they show you where the road bumps are. So, hey, you're going to make a right turn here, and then in a couple of months you're going to make a left turn. Just so you know, when you make that left turn, there's some scary stuff happening over there. Be prepared for it. There's some bumpy roads. It's not paved very well. So we got to make sure that your car can handle that rough road. And then after about 3 or 4 months, you're going to make a right turn on this street, right? So to me, a coach has been down this road multiple times, but also been down this road with multiple different personalities and businesses. And so it's not just, I'm always questioning, like, I don't know if you're a parent yet, but when I was about to become a parent, right, all these books that everyone recommends, but then you read the book and you're like, this woman or this man is a parent to one child, and they're teaching me a system that worked for their one kid. Maybe they got lucky.
Maybe their kid
The
was
book
weird.
that
Yeah.
we ended up reading and following religiously was a woman who spent her career coaching parents of newborns, and she worked with, like, somewhere between like 5 and 10 families before she wrote the book. Okay, she has seen it all. She's tested her model. There's no luck involved in what she's teaching us. Like, when I give people advice on our kid, they're like, "Oh, well, you just got lucky." I'm like, maybe. Or I followed a process from a woman who's done it 10,000 times.
Yeah.
That's not luck.
That makes sense. Now that is a good way to think about it too. You get someone who's done enough volume to have pattern recognition to where they could spot the patterns quickly and easily, help you, from just not knowing what's going on. And what you were
I
saying
mean,
at the beginning actually made me think, you know, like turn here, you're going to see some scary stuff. I was almost thinking, we're all kind of unique snowflakes in our own ways, but I would say that most of us fail in very similar ways. Yeah. It's like the restaurant ran out of money. Game over. It doesn't matter if it's an Indian restaurant or a Thai restaurant, like run out of money, game over.
we like to, okay, let's look at a snowflake. Every snowflake is unique except for the fact that they are all made up of water
And they can all melt.
in a frozen state.
Exactly, yeah.
So they all have the exact same molecular structure. They are all H2O molecules in a frozen state. We as humans, because I get this a lot, everyone's like, oh, Ryan, but that won't work for my restaurant because we're in Nebraska, or that won't work because we're in Texas, or I'm a food truck. At the end of the day, we all want to think we're unique. But we all run the same software. Our brains all run the same software. And that software was developed millions of years ago. When we talk about evolution and all that, whatever your religious beliefs are out there, anyone listening, whatever your thoughts are on evolution, let's just step into now. Let's not judge Ryan because he's about to say something that I may not agree with. Let's step into our common sense corner now and just with an open mind ask if maybe something he's saying makes sense to me. And what I'm trying to say is, we spent millions of years roaming this planet in a fight or flight state. Only in the last 100 years have we not been in a fight or flight state. 150 years ago, if you had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you better get your shotgun before you walk outside because anyone or anything is capable of harming you. But only in the last 100 years do we have bathrooms in our houses and it's safe. 150 years ago, if you walk down the street, anyone could walk up and rob you and kill you. There's no video cameras. There's no fingerprinting. Only in the last 100 or even 50 years is it safe to do certain things. So we all think that we've evolved. We haven't evolved. Our brains are mammalian. Our brains are reptilian. They are fight or flight. And so again, there's a reason I'm saying all this. We don't need to get into it now, but this idea that we're all different and we all run our own software is wrong. Mm-hmm. We all process everything the same way, and it processes through, is this safe or not? And if it's not safe, do I fight or do I run? Even choosing where we go to dinner tonight is processed through that same mentality. When you are reprimanding or coaching a team member, when you're speaking to them about, hey, I noticed yesterday that, you weren't using a beverage tray. Remember, even if it's just one cocktail, we always use beverage trays here. Well, that team member is now seeing you as a threat. Even if you're being polite,
the heartbeat is increasing. That's yes, yeah.
The hormones start racing, the adrenaline gets going, right? Because you are a threat. And so now we've learned to kind of suppress some of those feelings, but ultimately this team member now has a choice. Either they run or they react. And sometimes we don't react well, even to minor coaching. And so I think sometimes as coaches, we're not cognizant of the fact that our student is in a fight or flight mode. So anyway, sorry, I could talk about this for hours.
No, that's fine.
But I just, again, one of those trigger topics when you said, like, potentially we all think that we're different. We're not that different.
It looks like I'm destined to hit all of them today, but yeah.
Hit what?
Oh, I'm going to hit all of your trigger topics today, I'm guessing.
You might. Just don't talk about mayonnaise or mustard, because then we're going to be here
It's forever. Coming. It's on there. No.
Okay.
So I want to start looking at restaurants. So one of the things that intrigued me, you say your restaurant's not a business. Let's make it a business. Can you kind of dig into that idea for me a little bit?
So a business is, I use very simple words, saleable, S-A-L-E, saleable, and scalable. A job is something that requires you to be there. And so what I say a lot of times is that we don't own a business, we own a job.
An expensive job.
Expensive job. A job that we had to pay in investment, the privilege of having this job. But ultimately, we're drawing a salary. We're not owning a business. We're drawing a salary. Even if you do pay yourself as an owner draw, most of us, if we don't show up to work, if we don't manage, if we don't do the job, we eventually won't get paid anymore because our business will struggle and fail. When you own a business, it's what I always say is, could you sell your restaurant to a dentist without there being an interruption in the quality? If the answer is yes, you probably have a business. If the answer is no, if I could only sell it to someone who's interested in or is experienced in operating restaurants, then you're selling a job, not a business.
Do you think there's something unique about restaurants that lends itself to that kind of trap?
Yeah, because we don't need a license or special skills to open up a restaurant.
Sure, sure. And I'm
If you
sure,
want to become a doctor, you have to go through a lot of training. If you want to become a dentist or an accountant or an electrical engineer, you need a lot of training. If you want to open up a restaurant, you just need to write a check.
sure. To a bunch of different people, but yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there is probably a cohort of people that really love the idea of cooking for their friends and fall in love with the idea of owning the restaurant and working in the restaurant. But
Yep.
yeah,
I call it the best chili in the small town.
uh,
You know, my wife makes the best chili. I make the best chili. All your friends, you should open up a restaurant. You're right.
what an idea! Yes,
Right.
you pour the best beer, open up a bar.
Open up a bar.
One thing you said too that I wanted to click in on and sort of see what you might say about this. The world's not fair. Fairness is
It's not.
something. Yes. Can you
Totally
expound
not.
on that a little bit?
So you can look at it in two ways. I could say the world is it's the fairest thing in the I was about to say it's the fairest thing in the world. I could say it is the most fair thing possible. Or you could say the world is not fair. And that's really a matter of which side, whether you agree or disagree with me. But what I'm trying to say is that we don't get rewarded often for our effort. We get rewarded for our results. And so there are some very good people in this world who work very hard, but the result that they deliver is low on the reward spectrum. A trash man or woman, very hardworking, very good. I'm not saying anything negative about the career. They're probably wonderful human beings. I know the people who collect our trash, they're always kind, they're always polite, they always say hi. They're wonderful human beings, but on the scale of rewards, they're rewarded far less than someone who may work in a clean environment with air conditioning in an office much less hours than they do, but it's about the results that we deliver. So I think when a lot of people say, like, I'm working so hard, I'm putting everything into my restaurant and I'm just not getting rewarded for it. Well, all that matters is the results that you
Mhm.
deliver, not the effort you put in. And I think some people use the term that's unfair, but when I explain it, they're like, no, that's fair. That makes sense.
I wanted to take a moment to say thank you for listening to Serves You Right. If you have not, please hit that like button. It really does help us grow and helps us reach more people. If you haven't heard, in 2026, we are going to 2 episodes a week. That's every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening. Back to the show.
People are not rewarded equally for the amount of effort that they put in.
Sure. Yeah. Now, I remember, I think it was Tony Robbins that said that, everyone is equal before, in the eyes of the Lord, but everyone is not equal in an economic system. It's like
Absolutely not.
you have wild variability.
In a capitalist system that we live in, are rewarded, economically rewarded for the results that you deliver to other people. That's it. And that is the great equalizer in the economic eyes. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of the struggle there, because you can work, let's say, a 10-hour shift, and if only 3 or 4 people walk into your restaurant, 3 or 4 people walked into your restaurant. It doesn't matter that you were there the whole time. It doesn't matter
Right.
what you did. Yeah.
Well, and let's take that even a step further. When people say to me, like, I spend so much time working with my team members. Well, you may be, and you may be polite and kind, but if you're not following the right processes and they're not properly being trained, you could spend years working with them, but you may not ever get the result out of them that you're looking for, not because of the amount of time, you just may not be following the right system or process. It goes back to coaching, right? Because I see this all the time. Oh, Ryan, I've tried checklists, they don't work. Let me see them. And then they send them to me, and I'm like, well, it doesn't work because of this, and this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, change this, change this, change. They're like, oh, but that's hard. I'm like, hey, you asked me for what works. not what's easy. I'm not sitting here telling you what's easy, but I'm telling you right now, you took the easy path, and that's why your checklists don't work. Now, do you want to build checklists properly? That's up to you.
That's wild. I'll go on the record and say checklists do work. I use them. We use them to open the restaurant, but they don't work sometimes when they aren't followed. Like, there's always a
Right.
point of failure possibility.
So and then there's a process for that, right?
Yeah.
There's a process that I put in place to make sure that people do follow them.
Yeah. Since we're talking about it, managers, can you dig into managers a little bit? Because I'm sure that's a fun topic. Yeah.
Yeah, so whenever we talk about managers, there's two things I like to talk about. The first thing I like to talk about is managers manage systems, not people. Let's start there. Managers manage systems. Well, they're supposed to. That's where we fail in management right now. That's where the world is failing in management because managers are trying to manage people. To your point earlier, I can sit here and say how we're all the same, we all run the same software, but within that software, everyone is unique. Their personalities, their snowflakes, like you said. So when we try to manage a person, it's very difficult. People have all kinds of baggage. It's very difficult.
All kinds of baggage. Yeah.
All kinds of baggage, and we all do.
Mm-hmm.
So, one, when we talk about management, we talk about systems. When we talk about leadership, we're talking about people. So, whenever I talk about management, I have to level set here. Level set. Anything I'm going to talk about with management is systems, not people. Leadership is people. And so then what that does for me is the second thing I like to say is you didn't do this, but a lot of people lump management and leadership into one thing. I'm going to university to study management and leadership. I bought a book on management and leadership. I'm taking a course on management and leadership. Well, those two topics better be taught separately because they have nothing to do with each other.
Perfect. So
when
managers first, and then we'll get into leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, so management is about systems, right? Manage systems, develop people is something you'll hear me say 100 times in the book and 1,000 times a day. But we manage systems. Systems are black and white. They're right or wrong. They're yes or no. They're binary. They're easy to follow. They have no emotion. So when you properly manage a system, if someone didn't mop the floor or didn't mop the floor properly, it's very simple to just say, hey, Andrew, I noticed that the floor doesn't look up to standard. Do you mind taking care of that? Well, I already mopped the floor. Hey, that's great. I'm glad you already mopped it. I see it checked off. However, it's not mopped to our standards. Do you mind doing it again? Right? There's no emotion there. It's just simply black and white. The checklist says mopped to company standard or mopped, but we've already taught you the standard. I don't care if you're having a good day or a bad day. I mean, I do, but in this moment, it doesn't matter if you're having a good day or a bad day. It doesn't matter if you did it or didn't do it. It doesn't matter if you put your right sock on first or your left sock on first. The fact is, the floor is not acceptable. I need you to take care of it. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I'm mad at you because of the thing that happened yesterday. It just means the floor is not mopped to standard. So this helps young managers too, because young managers say things to me like, well, I'm not a manager yet. I'm just a lead. They haven't given me the title, so I don't feel comfortable telling people what to do. Once they give me the business card, I'll feel better about this. Or I don't know how to manage people. These are all the things I hear, but none of that matters when you're managing a black and white system.
Yeah.
So it makes management very easy to me. Now, one thing I do like to add when we're talking about management and leadership, so I'll just bring it up here, is coach, don't tell. We don't tell people what to do, we coach them. My son plays a lot of competitive baseball. He got yelled at all the time of, dude, throw the ball higher, throw the ball lower, throw the ball harder, get in front of the ball, do this, do that. And I'm sitting there watching practices wanting to murder the coach because he's calling himself a coach. He's not a coach, he's a teller.
Like a dictator. Yeah.
Go and take all of the weirdness out of what I'm about to say, but go put your hand on my son's arm, on his body, and show him how to throw the ball properly. Go turn his shoulders correctly. Demonstrate for him what to do. That's coaching. telling him to throw the ball harder. Come on, kid, throw strikes. Throw strikes. Throw strikes. Great. Thanks, asshole. Why don't you show me and coach me what I'm doing wrong so I can throw more strikes? But yelling at me from the sidelines telling me to throw more strikes is not helping one bit. And we do that as managers all day long. I need you to do this. I need this out of you. I need you to be friendlier. I need you to talk about the wines more. I need you to offer the specials. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Okay, great. But have we taken the time to do some role playing on the specials? Have we taken the time to go back and forth? Have we practiced on the phone how to answer the phone properly? Most of the time, the answer to that is a resounding no.
Sure. Yeah. And in my head, I'm wondering, so not tell, but to coach, would it be enough to sort of okay, let's use the example of like a host who answered the phone incorrectly or something like that. If I heard it and said, hey, I need you to always remember to say our, location first. Do you need me to go over the greeting again? If I like end with that, yeah.
That would be phenomenal, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Exactly what you just said.
Okay, good.
Because then they could say like, yeah, like I don't know, I keep messing that up, sorry. And then you go, okay, well, later this evening after shift, why don't we sit down at a table for a minute and let's practice this? And so then maybe I give them a copy of the script and I say, hey, tonight, let's do this 5 or 6 times and you read off the script. But then tomorrow, we're going to do it 5 or 6 times without the script.
Perfect.
That's coaching. Then you could say like, hey, maybe emphasize this a little more. Instead of saying, thank you for calling Ryan's Bistro, why don't you try, thank you for calling Ryan's Bistro. This is Ryan. How can I help you?
Smile first. It comes through. It
Right,
does.
smile. Yeah. And then we can sit there and we can coach them up. We could say, hey, bring a little more personality. Try that a little louder. Rather than just saying, Andrew, I've noticed you're not bubbly enough on the phone. You're not friendly enough.
Be better.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Be better,
Yeah.
right? Okay, well, show me what friendly means.
Yeah.
Help me with that. Very seldom do people not want to be coached. However, nobody wants to be told what to do. That's in our DNA. That's in our fight or flight. You start telling me what to do, I start getting nervous.
And do you find that people don't have that fight or flight reaction with the coaching? Because that was a question I was wondering about.
Absolutely not. Very few people. Now, again, you're always going to have outliers, but I have found in the thousands of people I've worked with and through the research I've done and other people I've talked with that humans want to get better. We want to grow.
To do a good job. Yeah.
We want to buy, but we don't want to be sold. We all want to buy stuff, but we don't want to be sold anything, right? You walk into the electronics store, hey, welcome. Can I help you with anything? No, I'm just looking. No, you're not. Forgive my language. You are fucking there to buy something. But the idea of being sold something versus me making the decision myself is completely different.
Yeah, that is weird. That's funny. It's true. I'm exactly that way. I say, no, I'm just here. No. Yeah, everyone does.
I'm good. It's not true. You wouldn't be there if you weren't there to buy something.
It's true. So that's black and white. That's crystal clear rule following. Let's talk about leadership, because people are not black and white. There are all sorts of colors. There's a lot of ambiguity, and there's a lot that just bleeds in from outside. This is a big cesspool there.
Kind of where that coaching kind of bridges the gap between management and leadership. That's why I was saying, like, we're going to have to talk about it eventually. And so now, like, management here, leadership here, coaching kind of connects those. The leader is a great coach. The leader is developing a person. The leader is inspiring. They're a mentor. They're someone that people look up to and want to be more like. In definition, I always like to look at leadership as the cruise ship, the rudder on the cruise ship. Like, they set the direction. It's hard to move, but when you move it, like, the whole cruise ship follows it. So, like, the rudder. But leaders we can get into visionary and things like that. That's not really what's important in today's conversation. Leaders are great at developing people. So when someone doesn't follow a system, we have to develop them to become a person who wants to follow the system. When someone doesn't follow a checklist, it's simply because there's a wire in their brain that is either disconnected or crossed somewhere. And that wire says checklists are bad, checklists are a waste of time, checklists make me measurable and I don't want to be measurable, but I don't like checklists, so I'm not going to do it. So if we don't step in and disconnect this wire and connect it to the part of the brain that says checklists are good, checklists make my job easier, checklists move responsibility from me to the person who built it. I love checklists. You're never going to get your people to follow checklists because you're not developing them. You're not doing surgery. You're not cutting wires and reconnecting them. That's what leadership is. And so the way that we move from management to leadership is by becoming a great coach.
Yeah. What do you do in those instances where it's not that they didn't want to do it, but they genuinely made a mistake? Or at least that's what they said.
That's fine. Mistakes happen. So there's three reasons why people don't do things they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, when they're supposed to do it. The first reason is they're not capable. We can talk about that in a second. The second reason is they don't know how. The third reason is they don't want to. So the first reason they're not capable, well, the example I always use for this is, if I said, hey, Andrew, I went to the Kentucky Derby yesterday and I fell in love with horse racing. I think I'm going to become a jockey. And you look at me and you go, dude, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Most jockeys I see are like 5'2" and weigh like 100 pounds. You're like 260 and 6 feet. Yeah, can I lose weight? Can I break the mold? Can I be the first 200-pound jockey to win the Kentucky Derby? Maybe. But chances are I should probably look at another career. That's an example I use, but some people are just not capable. Some people are not capable of doing math, but they're really good at art. Some people are not capable of doing art, but they're really good at math. Now, again, let's not talk about infinite powers and capabilities, because I'm never a person who's going to say that it's impossible, but sometimes we just have the wrong person in a position. Generally, we're pretty good at not doing that. So I almost never find someone's not doing this because they're not capable. Usually it comes down to they don't know how or they don't see the value. This is where we get confused as managers. A lot of times we as managers say, they do know how to do this. They know how to do this. I know they know how to do it. And I go, how do you know? Well, I just know. How do you know? Because when I look back at their training documents don't have a signature or a test next to the skill. They're like, well, I trained them on it, but did you test them? Did you have them demonstrate this skill to you? Because maybe they nodded their head and said yes, but they don't actually understand it.
On day one, when there's a fire hose,
on
day one, when there's like a fire hose of information coming at them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I trained them on it. I mean, for me to get a pilot's license and fly an airplane, someone, not my instructor, but someone else from the government sits in the right seat and makes me go through a skill assessment before they give me a license. No different than a driver's license. No different than becoming a doctor. No different than becoming a lawyer. But yet, to become a chef, you just have to write, I'm a chef on a resume, and now you're a chef. And so for me, it starts with, do they really know how? Or are we just assuming they know how? And I have a whole training system for how we do this. Why do, how do, I do, we do, you do. You might be wanting to get into that. But then on the last one of they don't they don't think it's important. What I'm really trying to say is they don't see the value in it. Now, value is interesting, and I love making fun of myself because I'm overweight. I know I need to lose weight. I know I'd be healthier if I lost weight. If you asked me right now, Ryan, you'd be healthier and more energetic 50 pounds less, I'd say you're absolutely right. I know how to lose weight, but tonight for dinner, if you put a salad with some lemon vinaigrette, a pile of arugula and vegetables, and a bacon cheeseburger in front of me, in that moment in time, which one do I choose?
The obvious choice.
Salad's out the door. I want my bacon cheeseburger. And so a lot of times when we sit down and we say, like, don't you think this is important? They go, oh yeah, no, I know this is important. Like, then why aren't you doing it? I don't know. I'm going to work on it, but I know how important it is. But in the moment of checklist or go home, in that moment, go home is more important. So we have to coach, develop, lead people to learn that that was the wrong decision. And here's all the reasons why, if you make a different decision, all these other things that you want in your life can start to come into your life.
Yes. And then hopefully curtail that. Just having someone who notices that someone is leaving without doing the checklist too is a step above a lot of restaurants.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. There's two ways to get people to do something, and there's nothing wrong with someone. You need to have someone checking the checklist for sure, but ultimately the goal is to get people to fall in love with checklists and want to do them. Here's the crazy part: usually people fall in love with them when we are checking if they're doing it or not, because then we're quote unquote forcing them to do it for 2 or 3 weeks. But what starts to happen after 2 or 3 weeks is they say things like, "Oh my God, I'm happier at work. My station's better set up. My tips are going up. I'm getting the food out faster. My managers love me more. Maybe I should just start doing the checklist." And then all of a sudden they realize, yes, through a little bit of pressure and force, but they realize that the results are happening because of the thing they didn't want to do, but were forced to do. It's no different than going to the gym.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking it's no different than brushing your teeth. When you're a kid,
It's
you're
no
like,
different than
you do
brushing your
not want
teeth.
to brush your teeth, but then it happened so
No.
long ago, we all forgot that we were forced to do it, and we're all happy we do it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And brushing your teeth is a great example that I use about children.
yeah. I was going to ask Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Domino's. What do they all have in common? Why are those the examples?
So, examples for what? Because I can go in a million
Yeah,
directions. Do you have
successful
any?
restaurants. Yeah.
So, all of them a little bit individually. What was the third? You said Chick-fil-A, Domino's, and what was the third?
McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and Domino's.
So, in reality, like the first thing I think of when I see these brands are, one, mature brands with systems, processes, and procedures. I think they all have slightly different reasons for their success, but all of them are highly systematized, high functioning operations. But again, like different reasons. Like Domino's, for example, Domino's is dominating because of technology. There's just no question about it. People think Domino's is a pizza company. They are the furthest thing you could get from a pizza company. Their pizza is indistinguishable as pizza. If we look at their ingredient list, I'm not saying anything bad about Domino's. I'm a stockholder in Domino's and I consume their product. But
Same.
they are a technology company. And if you think they're anything other than that, you're wrong. They dominate the pizza space in technology, and that's why they're crushing it right now. Chick-fil-A, it's about simplicity and efficiency. Chick-fil-A has goals to get 500 people. I think they're up to 500 an hour through some of their drive-throughs right now. I think they're barely touching it. I think they've gotten to like 470, 480 an hour, but like Chick-fil-A is all about efficiency. We go to Chick-fil-A because it's relatively inexpensive, and I never wait at a Chick-fil-A. They get my food out fast.
Yeah. And it's simple. It's
McDonald's
simple
is
and easy.
just
Yeah.
it's just size and volume.
Yeah. And McDonald's,
McDonald's is struggling a little bit.
one thing I've always admired about McDonald's is it seems like they have the ability to take like 15-year-olds and turn them into management. Like their systems are that strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Like,
they have the McDonald's University, and their systems are that strong that absolutely they're incredible at development. One of the examples I use a lot with McDonald's, thank you for reminding me, is exactly that. Is they used to run a campaign, right? America's best first job. And I couldn't agree with that more. I think everyone should have some restaurant experience. I think everyone should have some hospitality experience. I think McDonald's is a great place to get started because of the systems and the process and the procedures. But they're one of the things that I always say separates great restaurants from average restaurants is your ability to take someone who has no skills and get them fully trained as quickly as possible. McDonald's can do that.
that's awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. So, someone who's listening at home today, how can they find out more about you and how could they work with you?
Thank you for asking. So, the restaurantboss.com, you can grab a copy of our book, Make It Happen, if you're watching this on
Yeah.
video, completely for free on the website. But the restaurantboss.com, we got a ton of great resources. And then through the restaurantboss.com, you could look at either our free videos and free resources and our free toolkit that's got all kinds of spreadsheets and things to help. You can get our book for free. But if you're interested in working with me a little closer, we have a membership which meets twice a month on Zoom, and we do a training every month. Or you could reach out. There's a place for you to look at my coaching, my speaking, my kind of on-site development courses, things like that. And yeah, I'd love to have the opportunity to chat with you about what's going on.
And I thought I saw when the book on your website, it's also on Amazon, but it's better to get it free through you, of course.
Much better to get it free through.
Yeah.
But it is on Amazon.
When you get that book, don't you also get a bunch of other like fun bonuses? Did I see that? Yeah.
So there's access to some other things that come with the book, some workbooks and some documents and spreadsheets and stuff like that, all through our website for sure. Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, if anyone's out there, they need help, The Restaurant Boss, Make It Happen, the book.
Thank you, sir.
Come work with Ryan
for allowing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Anything that we would be remiss for not having mentioned today?
I mean, yes, there's a couple of things that come to mind. I mean, I always say this, and this is kind of a joke, but whenever I get asked to speak at events and conferences and things, they're like, hey, like, do you want to do 45 minutes or 90? I'm like, do you have like a 4-hour slot? And they're like, no, 90 is the most. I'm like, it takes me 45 minutes to introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, 90 minutes is just barely scratching the surface. I'm like, give me a microphone and let me go. So there's a few things, but I think I touched on it here, but I cannot stress it enough. Systems, processes, procedures, managing systems, developing people. We're not gonna have time to get into exact systems and exact processes. That's when I need days to help you out here. But the one thing I want to say is people come to me and they say, hey Ryan, I'm super excited to be on the phone with you. I don't even know where to start. I'm like, all right, well, just tell me a little bit about you. What are you doing here? And they're like, well, I need systems. And I'm like, we'll get to that in a second. Like, tell me a little bit more. No, I need systems. I'm here for systems. And that's great. But what I say to that is, you don't walk into your doctor's office with a rash on your arm and say, hey, doc, can you prescribe me with a parodontal whatever cream, 6% cortisone. I'm going to apply it 3 times a day. I need enough for 3 weeks, so probably an 8-ounce tube. Here's my pharmacy. Will you write that in? We don't do that.
Some people probably do.
What's that?
Some people probably do in this day and age, but yeah.
We go to a doctor because we don't know what's wrong. So we say, hey, I've got this rash on my arm. Doctor looks at it and says, I'm not sure what that is. Let me look at it a little more. Takes a sample, sends it off, comes back, goes, oh, that's XYZ. We're going to treat that with an injection. We're going to treat that with a cream. We're going to treat that with a pill. Come back to me in 4 or 5 weeks after you do that. Let me know how it's going. Don't say you need systems. I know you need systems. What's the problem you're trying to solve? And don't sit here and say, I want to make more money. Okay, great. We all want to make more money. What's the problem? Why aren't you making the money you want to make? And what's the system we're going to use to fix that? If you're not making the money you want to make, it's not because you want to make more money. It's because your menu's too expensive. Your menu's too cheap. You don't have the right items on your menu. You opened up a restaurant in the wrong city. You're doing the wrong marketing. Your cooks aren't cooking the food properly. You're not getting it out fast enough. You're getting it out too fast. All these things are why you're not making the money you want. So when you come to yourself in the mirror or to me, look at the problem. What's the problem? I don't have enough guests at lunch. Monday to Friday lunch or Saturday, Sunday lunch? Monday to Friday lunch. Okay, why don't you have enough Monday to Friday lunch? Are you in a business district? Yes. How quickly can you get lunch out? Oh, well, it takes 45 minutes to an hour because we make our food from scratch. Okay, well, that's why you don't have any lunch. Well, Ryan, I can't cook the food any faster. Okay, well, then let's look at doing an express menu. Let's look, right? But come to me with a problem or yourself with a problem and then work the problem backwards to a system, to a process, to a procedure. But so many times, I need to increase sales. I need to increase sales. I need to increase sales. Go back to step 1. You don't have enough guests. Why not? At what period? Like, let's work it from there. So again, it's not about me. It's just about me, someone else, or yourself. But go backwards to the root of the problem. Team members aren't listening to anything I say. Okay, great. Specifically, tell me one thing they're not listening about. Okay, great. What's your system for vacation requests? Well, we don't have one for vacation requests. Well, maybe let's build one.
No wonder they're not listening.
Rather than telling me that you're sick and tired of all your team members coming to you and saying, you forgot to honor my vacation or whatever. I'm like, you don't even have a system for it. So the problem isn't that your team members aren't listening to you. Your problem is that you don't have a documented system for vacation and time off requests. Sorry, you can't see me. I'm getting very angry and passionate on camera.
Spoken like it's happened to you more than once.
More than once a day.
Yes. I do have to ask, and it'll be fine if you say no, but can people listening know the 2 words they can't say anymore? Or do they need to finish the book?
There's a few. Mayonnaise, try.
Got it.
Mostly mayonnaise and mustard because I think they're disgusting. But try. So, do we have 1 more minute to talk about try?
Sure, yeah.
Or should we leave that as a teaser for the book?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that you needed to get on a call in a few, so I don't want to...
Yeah, no, I've got a minute, but it's up to you.
No, bring it on. Yeah, someone who's listened this far in, they deserve it.
Perfect. So in the book, my publisher wouldn't allow me to quote Yoda because they said I would need to get permission from Disney for that. I was like, seriously? Come on.
I saw Yoda over on the book, so I was curious. So, yeah,
so there's a reason Yoda sits on top of the book, and that's Grogu, I guess. I don't know, but to me, it's Yoda. The reason Yoda sits on top of the books is, 1, it was bought for my son to put together a Lego because of what I'm about to tell you, but he didn't put it together, I did. But 2, Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. And so I asked people to try. This is Tony Robbins right here. Tony Robbins does this. Try to pick up a pen from your desk. And they pick it up. I said, no. I asked you to try. And then they pick it up. I'm like, no, I asked you to try. And they're like, I don't understand. I'm like, exactly. Because the word try doesn't exist. Like I said earlier, we don't get rewarded for efforts. We get rewarded for results. You either pick up the pen or you don't pick up the pen. But there's no trying. You're either going to show up on time tomorrow or you're not. So when someone says to me, I'm going to try to do better, I say, what does Yoda say about trying? And they go, do or do not. There is no try. Because they've heard me say it a million times. And I say, okay, so are you going to show up on time tomorrow or not? I don't really care. If you show up on time tomorrow, we're going to work together long. If you don't show up on time tomorrow, don't even bother coming in because I'm over it. But you right now make a decision and I want to hear the words. I'm not interested in trying. So are you going to show up on time tomorrow or not? No, I don't think I am going to show up on time tomorrow. Okay, cool. Let's get a resignation letter started. You can stick around if you want, or you can walk out the door right now, but we're done. Now, that's not what I would say the first time I'm having interaction with someone. Let's assume we're further down the road.
Sure, yeah.
But the point is, there is no try. Do it or don't do it. I don't really care.
Ryan, the restaurant boss, thank you very much.
You're so welcome. And again, I want to apologize to you and any listeners if the audio quality isn't as ideal as I would have liked. I had some trouble here with my computer, so we did this on the iPad. But I hope it recorded well, and I hope
it sounded great on this end.
Everyone out there gets value out of it.
Awesome. So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again for listening to Serves You Right. Episodes of this show come out every Tuesday and Thursday. If you have not had a chance, please go and check out the website, servesyouRightPod.com. You can find all past episodes and a contact form in case you need to get in touch with me. And soon, so much more. All right, that's about it. Thank you.